Hello and welcome to an emergency, unplanned, unscripted volume of the Heurmann murder trial podcast. Thank you for listening. I'm Glenn Fleetwood. I am your former 33 years criminal defense attorney. And there's been a development worth calling your attention to. It's actually two developments, and they're unrelated, but related. The first would be that although we knew over the weekend there were permits Rex had for 92 weapons, the officers are still in his house as of today, Monday afternoon, and they have now found 200 plus actual firearms. Now, what does that mean? Well, we don't know, because it is possible, remember, just because he didn't have a permit, maybe somebody else has a permit for it. He's not really there, and he's probably not answering questions. So maybe somebody else had a permit. And remember, there is a lot of reason to believe that his family is peripherally involved. Why would that be? Well, you better believe police want an explanation as to why his wife's hair is on, why 3 of her hairs are on the bodies of the dead women. Is that an accident? It could be just a transfer. It was on him and it got onto them. Or does it raise the possibility that she participated in some way? Maybe in an innocent way, maybe just the old horrible trick that a lot of these people pull and say, and they have a woman say, "Hey, come on, sweetie, don't worry, it's okay, hop in the car." Could be, but we don't know. But that would be one of the first things that is coming to everybody's attention now, is that it looks like there might be a connection to other members of the family. And the other connection would be, remember, we have found what looks like a knife sheath. That's familiar, isn't it? And if you hold it a certain way, it looks like it has the initials MH. Well, what would that help? H, Heurmann, but what is M? We don't know. But if you flip it, it looks like it might actually say WH. And the police are keeping quiet, but they're saying that somebody in that family has an initial with W. Maybe that sheath that they found at one of the murder sites belongs to one of Rex's children. I don't know. Nobody knows, or at least the police actually, I believe, do know and are not saying, which is very different. But it means that, again, just like with the four murder victims in Idaho, that sheath is going to come in and be an important part of this solving of this crime. Remember that in their case, the DNA that helped them track down the killer, the alleged killer, he hasn't been found guilty of anything yet, was found on the snap that a person would use to snap open or closed the knife sheath he had. So, well, wait a minute. Let me correct that. That's not true. It was on the knife sheath. It was on the holster or knife sheath that was found at the scene. Nobody has, as of this moment, officially declared that to be, in the Idaho case, the murderer's knife case. He hasn't admitted that's his, that I know of. But in other words, but they believe it's his, and his DNA was found on the snap that you would use for opening and closing it. So the police are still there. Now, there's a third development, but since I don't really have enough to fill you in on it, I can't really tell you what does it mean. But the investigators that are at the scene as of Monday afternoon, going late into Monday, have donned their chemical protective suits. In other words, they're still in the house, which means that they're still finding stuff that leads them to suspect that Rex is the killer. Or somebody associated with that house is the killer. But they have now found something that they believe is dangerous in the way of a chemical, something. Could it be a contagious disease, something? Sure, it could be that. But in other words, it's important to understand that the police have found something that makes their investigators put on the chemical protective suits at the scene. What did they find? I can tell you what's the most common. I don't really think it's happened here, but I can tell you when I've seen that happen before, it means they found another body. So they don't want to be around a body that may have died from a disease or that may have contracted some sort of horrible disease even after the person was killed. And so they don't want to be around a body that's emitting germs and things like that. So that would be something that would be common with killers. Nobody knows if Rex is a killer yet or not. And as I say every episode, please do not listen to these people. And it's usually defense attorneys who say, now remember, we all have to assume he's not guilty. In America, everyone is not guilty until they have been found. No, they're not. No, the jury has to make that presumption. You don't. You don't have to. You can presume anything you want. But the jury has to presume he is not guilty until the case before them proves he is guilty, if it ever does prove that. Don't get into this mindset that the average Joe citizen walking down the street has an obligation to presume anything about him, because that's not true. And the classic case is, if that were true, then we would have to be saying, well, Hitler was never proven guilty, so Hitler wasn't guilty of anything. That's absolutely true. What about O.J.? Now, he was found not guilty in a criminal case, but he was found liable in a civil case. What goes on there? I don't know. Let's look into that. But anyway, those are the developments in the Heurmann murder trial, and that's the name of this podcast. And if you want to know the very latest developments, you only have to do 3 things. Doesn't cost a dime. Subscribe, like, and ring the bell. Just like everybody always says, do that. That will help you get quicker and more accurate notifications of any new news or notification in this case. And I'm Glenn, and I'll be talking to you. If there's no developments, which seems pretty unlikely, if there's no developments, I'll talk to you next Monday. But as you can see, if there are any developments, I'll talk to you right now. Bye.